Hey everyone, let's do part 4 of Advent of Code. This is day 4, part 1. Okay, let me read through this. Says you arrive at the airport only to realize that you grabbed your North Pole credentials instead of your passport. While these documents are extremely similar, North Pole credentials aren't issued by a country and therefore aren't actually valid documentation for travel in most of the world. It seems like you're not the only one having problems, though. A very long line has formed for the automatic passport scanners, and the delay could upset your travel itinerary. Due to some questionable network security, you realize you might be able to solve both these problems at the same time. The automatic passport scanners are slow because they're having trouble detecting which passports have all required fields. The expected fields are as followed: birth year, issue year, expiration year, height, hair, color, eye color, passport ID, country ID. Passport data is validated in batch files, your puzzle input. Each passport is represented as a sequence of key colon-value pairs separated by spaces or new lines. Passports are separated by blank lines. Okay. Here's an example of a batch file containing 4 passports. The first passport is valid, all 8 fields are present. The second one is invalid, it's missing the height field. The third passport is interesting, the only missing field is CID, which is country ID. So it looks like the data from North Pole credentials, not a passport at all. Surely no one would mind if you made the system temporarily ignore missing CID fields. Treat this passport as valid. The fourth passport is missing 2 fields, CID and BYR. Missing CID is fine, but missing any other field is not, so it's not valid. According to the above rules, your improved system would report 2 valid passports. Count the number of valid passports, those that have all the required fields. Treat CID as optional. In your batch file, how many passports are valid? Okay, so I'm going to download this.
You need some hand sand?
I just have a visitor here giving me some hand sanitizer.
Are you making a video?
I am making a video right now. And your
sorry.
hand sanitizer is on it. You're good. Okay. So let's save this file here. And I'm just going to save it here as it'll be saved as input 1. We'll just move it to this directory here. Okay, so I'm going to make a directory day 4. We're going to move temp input space 1 to here as input.txt. Let's just look at input. Okay, cool. So let's get started here. I'm gonna plan out what I'm gonna do here. I'm thinking I'll try I'll start off with PyTest this time. Again, I generally start off things like this with doctest, but PyTest gives us the ability to jump in, which can be nice, debug like we showed yesterday a little bit. So let's start off with PyTest. I'm going to make a file called testday4.py. So I guess what we could do is demo what's called test-driven development here, and the idea behind test-driven development is you write a test for something that has the behavior you want, and then you implement that behavior, make the test pass. So the first behavior I want is just to parse a cluster of these fields. So let's do that. I'm going to say def test parse passport. So a passport, I'm just going to assume that's a single entity here. And so I'm going to take that, and here it is. I'm going to say data. So we're going to get 3 steps of our unit test framework. The first step is to do any setup you have. The second test is to call your unit. The third step is to make an assertion. And the fourth step is to clean up, do any cleanup. So there's step one. There's our data, and step two is call our unit. So I'm going to call parse passport. So I'm going to say that this is going to give me a passport. I'm going to just call that a PP. And I'm going to say parse passport with our data. And I'm going to assume that this is going to give me back a dictionary type thing. And we'll just say assert that the length of this dictionary type. It's looking like a mapping, so I'm going to use a dictionary right now for it. And I'm going to assume that the length of this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the length of PP, if you're not familiar with dictionaries, when you calculate the length of them, it treats them as a sequence, and when a dictionary is treated as a sequence, it's treated as a sequence of the keys in there. So there should be 8 keys in there. Okay, so let's run this. I'm going to have to activate my virtual environment that has PyTest installed. And that's in the wrong place. Let's go to day 4 and run PyTest here. Okay, so it says name error, parse passport is not found. That's right. So we're going to have to import day 4, and we'll make day 4. Okay, I'll just touch it here. Touch day4.py. Okay. Okay, so here's day 4, and we need a parse passport in here. And so I'm going to have some text. Let's just say text comes in, and we're going to parse it. I think I'll come in here and put an example of this as well. So if this is our data, and we were to say parse passport here, would get a dictionary here. And I'm not going to write this out here. I'll actually leave that as is, and I'll run a test and I'll fill it in because I'm going to be lazy here. So what I'm going to do is, okay, so I've got this text here, and let's just, I think what I can do is I can call split on it, and this is going to be a nice feature of Python. If I just call split with nothing in here, it's going to split on white space, which I think is what I want because I've got new lines and space, so this split will come in really useful here. So I think I can do this where I say, well, let's start off with, we'll do like a for loop here. I'm going to say that my passport is equal to a dictionary. We'll start off with a for loop, and I think what we'll do is end up with a dictionary comprehension here. So I'm going to say for kv in, and I'm going to say txt.split. That should give us each key value, and I'm going to say key comma v is equal to kv, and we're going to split that on a colon, and then we're going to say ppk equals v, and then we'll return pp. Okay, so I think that should do the parsing here. Let's run our test, and it says parse passport is not defined here. That's because I got to change my test here. So we got day 4, and we're going to have to change this to day4.parse passport. Okay, so that is now working. Awesome. Let's run the doc test here, and the doc test should fail. So that is doc test dash modules. Okay, and we got this here. We expected to get the empty dictionary here. So this is what I want here. Let's change to day 4 and plop that in here. There we go. And let's run our tests again. Awesome. Okay, so that's looking okay. So we've got our parser here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this data here and write the next part that I want to do here. So here's day 4, and I'm going to say def test valid count, and I'm going to say here's our data, and our data is going to be all of this, and I'll copy that and plop that in there. Okay, so there's our data, and what I want to do is I want to have a function in day 4. I'm going to say that count valid is equal to day 4 dot and maybe what I'll do is I'll parse passports here. I'm going to say PPs is equal to day 4 dot parse passports. So this will give me a list of dictionaries from our data, and then the count valid is some valid passport. So we're going to do day 4. So I'm going to have two functions here. Day 4 dot valid passport pp for pp in pps, and the count valid I think was supposed to be 2. So we'll assert count valid is equal to 2. So we got two functions that we need to do here. I guess if I was being like particular here, I would write just a valid passport function, a test for that, and then I would write the parse passports here. I'm just going to do both of them together right now. Like I said, this one could be converted into a dictionary comprehension. Maybe I'll do that after I've done the whole assignment here. Okay, so let's run this parse passports, def parse passports. This is going to get text. And what we want to do is we want to split it on new lines. So if we looked at this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to import PDB. Well, I think what I can, let's see if I can do this. If I just do a 1 divided by 0 here, and then we run this with a PDB. Okay, so let's look at text. So here's text. This is what's coming in. Now you'll note that there are a pair of double new lines right here. So I'm going to take that same split. It looks like we're leveraging split a lot in this. And I'm going to say txt.split. And let's split it on a double new line. Okay, so that's giving me, I think, what I want here. It's giving me, let's look at the length of that. That is 4. Okay, so I think that's what I want. I'll just quit out of there. So I'm going to say that my PPs, or maybe this is the passport text, is equal to text.split on a double new line. So we still have other new lines in there, but we don't have double new lines. So that will give me the bundles here. And then what I can do is say, let's make a list of passports. And this, again, could be converted into either a generator or a list comprehension. So, but I'll do it the non-list comprehension way. So for PPS, so maybe I'll just say, So this is PP text in PPS text. So the single passport text, pps.append, parse passport pp text, and then return pps. Okay, let's push this back up the hill here. So this is where we are. We have pps in our tests. We should. Let's look in our dir. We have pp. Count valid. What's going on here? L20. Did Parse Passports not work? Oh. Okay. There we are. Okay, so we do have the PPS here. Here's our PPS. I need to pop up one in my stack. PPS. Okay, so we have 4 in there. Awesome. So now we just need to write this little function here. If we continue here, we see we have a failed, we have an attribute, error, and what's our error? It is PPS is not defined. No, it's not that. It's this one. No valid passport. So we got to put the valid passport in here. So let's do a def valid passport. And this is going to take a passport. Maybe I'll say passport dict. Alternatively, I could come in here and say dict like that if I wanted to use type annotation here. So what is a valid passport? Okay, so there are a couple ways to do this. So basically, we've got these 8 keys, right, that make up a passport, these up here, and all of them are required except for country ID. So what I'll do, so this is looking to me like a membership test. And so one tool to check for memberships is using sets. So I'm gonna use sets to do this. So let me just write a macro to clean this up. And I'm not sure why I put those parentheses around that. Let's write another macro. Okay, what I'm going to do is put quotes around it and put a comma and delete that. Okay. Okay, so here are our keys. And we actually don't need CID in there. So maybe I'll just remove CID from this. So one thing you might not be aware of is sets have a notion of greater than or less than. And I think this is, that corresponds to if it's a superset or not. So I'm just going to use that. I'm going to say return, I'm going to take the set of my passport. And note that, again, if we take a dictionary and we treat it as a sequence, we're going to get the keys of it. So the set constructor takes a sequence and makes a set out of that. So this will be a set of the keys. I'm just going to say, is that greater than or equal to the keys here? Okay, so let's push this back up the hill now. Okay, and it looks like this is working. So that is my validation for whether we're a valid passport. I can say passports must have 7 keys. CID is optional. Okay, so I mean, it might be the case that we have ones that aren't in here, or they have some non key that we haven't listed in the input. So far, the input hasn't been too nefarious from what I've seen, so I'm not sure that we'll see that. Okay, so what does this want? This wants how many valid passports are there in the file? Okay, so now we're going to go to our file. Remember, I have been seeing that off by 1 error with the file when parsing it. So I'm just going to assume that I'll have an off by 1 error there, and so I'm going to strip that input. Okay, so I'm going to say test input here, and I'm going to say that my text is equal to open input.txt, and I will read that. That will give me a string here. I'm going to just call strip to get rid of the very last white space. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I'm just going to take this, and instead of text here, we'll call this our data, and let's run this. It's going to say 2, it's going to fail, but I'll just look and see what the number is here. Okay, and it didn't have input. Okay, I need to move input from there to there. Okay, well, let's run it now. Okay, and we got an error here. Unsupported type int for none type. Valid passport came back as none. Interesting. Okay, so let's come in here and look at what we're doing. So we're calling valid passport for PDB. We got a type error. Here's our PPSs here. So this looks like my PPSs that I had before. Yeah, so why am I getting a type error? What did I do? Okay, we got 299 PPSs here, and okay, we got an unsupported error. So what's going on? I need to figure out somehow I broke it here. So I'm gonna come in here and just comment out this one, since this is failing, and I mean, they're both failing apparently for the same reason. I don't have to comment it out here. So let me just show you an option that I can do here in PyTest, which will basically get me the same behavior. So PyTest has a lot of options. If you're not familiar with them, you can scroll through here. So one that's nice is this LF. LF will run the last failed test first. So if you have long running test cases, if you run with LF, the first one that failed, maybe it took a half hour to get to that failure point, it's going to run that first one that failed first. So that can be nice when you're fixing things. Another one that we might want to do is this one down here. Where is it? Okay, I'm not seeing it here. Where is it? There should be an X in there, I believe. I believe it's X, and X should be stop after the first failure here. So note that I still have both my failures here, but it just says one failed, one passed because it stopped on that first one. So let's do a PDB here and step into that. Okay. So here's PPS, and let's just call day 4. It looks like valid passport is somehow broken. Valid passport with PPS 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so valid passport is working. So we're doing the sum of those, and we're doing a sum of a generic expression. Is this true? Maybe my valid passport is returning none. Okay, so it looks like valid passport is returning none. Let's look at the code for that. Oh, that's because I haven't implemented it. I thought I did. There it is. Okay. Huh. That's odd. Okay, so 247 is what it wants here. I'm not sure. Must have typoed that somehow. Deleted my code. Okay, so here's 247. Let's run it, push it back up the hill, make sure it works. It looks like it's working. 247. Okay, that is the right answer. So before I go, what I'm going to do is I said that a lot of this code we could refactor. So let's refactor it. One of the nice things is that we have these test cases now. We can refactor it sort of without fear that we're going to break anything. So this one right here, it looks like a prime candidate for a dictionary comprehension. Let me just, what I'll do is I'll copy this code and I'll refactor it into a dictionary comprehension up above so you can sort of see what I'm doing here. So how do I know I could refactor this into a dictionary comprehension? I'm making a dictionary here and then I'm looping over something and sticking things into the dictionary. So we're going to take our for loop. So I'll just take the for loop and plop it in here. I'm going to take off the colon at the end of that. Okay, and then what am I sticking into my dictionary? So I'm sticking in K as the key and V as the value here. So in here, I'm going to say, let's see, this is probably going to be a little bit ugly. So we're splitting that. We could say we're going to take kv.split and take the 0 of that and then a colon and then kv.split and take the 1 of that. Okay, so I posit that this will work. Is this cleaner? I'm not sure it is. Okay, so that does work. What I don't like calling split here twice. That's kind of ugly. I'm thinking like, how could I get rid of calling split there twice? Nothing's really coming to me right now. So I probably wouldn't do this here. I'd probably leave this as it is right up here in my for loop, just because I don't like this, like, this reads really ugly to me. Okay, the next one here, the Parse Passports. This is a place where we can use a list comprehension here. How do I know that? I've got a list here and I'm appending into it. So I'll do the same thing here. I'll just copy that and we'll show how to make a list comprehension. I'm going to take my for loop. I'm going to stick it in here without the colon. And what am I appending? I'm appending this call to Parse Passport. It's going to take whatever I'm appending in there and stick it into the front. So that should work. Let's just push that up the hill, see if it works. Awesome. Okay, this one I do like more, so I'm gonna take that and get rid of that. Okay, so here is today's code. We've got the parse passport here. This is taking advantage of the fact that we have splitting in Python. One of the key things to know here is that split with nothing in it. It splits on white space, and since we have new lines and spaces between them, that's really useful here. And then we're further splitting with the colon to get both things on both sides of that. Again, my preference here is not this version here, but this version here that is not the dictionary comprehension version of that. And then we have parse passports. Again, we're leveraging split. This assignment is all about split, but we're splitting on the double new line, which is nice in that the single new lines and the other white space in there it doesn't split on. And then we're just going to call parse passport for every chunk in there. And then we have a valid passport. We're leveraging sets for this, and the notion that sets have this notion of supersets or greater than or equal to. And so if the set of the passport, which is going to be a dictionary, we're going to pull off the keys of that and see if it contains all of these keys at least above here. Just for fun, remember I said we had that off by one issue yesterday here in the text. Let me just for fun, I'm going to get rid of the strip here and see if that makes us have the off by one error, if we need that. Okay, so it looks like I didn't need that strip there today. Okay, so that was a little extra that I did not need. Okay, hopefully this was useful to you. What I think I'm going to do, I'll try this, but I'm going to, I'll probably do the other part of this later today. So and what I'll do is in the project, I'll post my code up there. So if you want to take my code and then try and do part 2 from that, you can do that. Otherwise, you can be inspired from my code and go out and re-implement it. I think that would be a great way to sort of test your knowledge of this. Do you have to implement it how I did? No, you don't. Do you have to use tests? No, you don't. Hopefully you see that I think there's a lot of utility in them. It makes it easier to test and debug and figure out what's going on. Again, one of the things you'll see, I've been programming Python for 20 years. Do I make errors? Yeah, I make errors, right? Do things confuse me? Yeah, things confuse me, right? Having tests in there is one way for me to fix those relatively easily. So don't be, especially people who are learning Python for the first time or new to programming, don't be frustrated because it might be hard or you might keep getting these errors. Programming is an exercise in repeated frustration and recognizing patterns and then leveraging those patterns or leveraging tools to overcome those patterns that you frequently see. Okay, have a great day. Good luck with this if you're doing it alone. Send me your comments or whatnot, and we'll see you soon. Bye.